Tonight on Need to Know, we'll learn why students and alums from a local college say one particular course not only changes lives, but also has the capacity to change mindsets and perspectives in our community. The class and its impact, that's next. Also on the show, from rejected to respected, a longtime tattoo artist shares her journey in the world of skin art, why she views her craft as a way to help people present themselves to others later on the show. Don't go anywhere. An all-new Need to Know starts right now. For nearly 30 years, Monroe Community College has been offering a course of sorts intended to transform individuals to become advocates for human rights. It's called the Holocaust, Genocide, and Human Rights Project. Members take on such topics as survival, identity, faith, and tolerance, and apply what they've learned to modern-day issues. They also host a series of activities and events to engage peers and the public. You may remember from a recent Need to Know broadcast, the MCC Project invited Paul Rusesabagina, the inspiration behind the movie Hotel Rwanda, to Rochester to speak with students and community members. His message was focused on lessons yet to be learned from the Rwandan genocide and other genocides in our world. I asked Rusesabagina what he believes has prevented people from learning from the past. Here's what he told me.
Well, most of the time, we pretend not to learn, and yet I think we know. But we pretend not to know because we do never want to get involved. We always want to get away from what is happening so that nobody will ask us why we, when we saw things happening, did not intervene and do something. Here I'll give you an example of the United Nations. The United Nations were in Rwanda in 1994. Since October 1993, the UN were there with 2,700 soldiers. But on day one of the genocide, we saw these United Nations running away and turning the whole world, turning the backs, closing ears and eyes, because they don't want to see, they don't want to hear, they do not want to get involved.
And I would ask you, lack of involvement, doesn't that in some way come back to haunt those who don't get involved?
Definitely. We always keep regretting. But regretting, when you're regretting is regretting. You can't change anything when you regret. Well, all the time. After the first world genocide, the second one, the third one, everything that has been happening, this international community always comes in saying, we are sorry. Pretending we are sorry, we did not know. Didn't they know? That is a big question mark.
MCC's Holocaust, Genocide, and Human Rights Project works to ensure people know, remember, and learn from tragedies of the past. I met with current and former students of the project to learn more about its impact and how a college course can change a life. Take a look. Whether you were in college in the 90s or today, college is a whirlwind. It's busy. I mean, you've got classes, jobs, internships. Some college students have families or supporting children, and there are a myriad of other responsibilities. So in the midst of crazy college life, why was it so important for each of you to be part of this intense program? The Holocaust, Genocide, and Human Rights Project. It takes quite a bit of time.
It does take quite a bit of time, but it's totally worth it. I mean, what we're doing is like standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves and empowering people to stand up for themselves and stand up for human rights. I mean, that's something that's so valuable and vital to our society in order to be upstanding citizens that, like, if you can do it at all, you have to. It's for the good of humanity.
Oh, when I first came to MCC last semester, I was like a quiet kid. So I was like, maybe I'm just gonna do my classes, get them out of the way, and graduate. Then I was sitting in Michael Beester's class, and he just kept bringing up this club over and over during his lessons. I was like, let me just go to one meeting, and now I'm an officer this semester.
What was it in that meeting that kind of pulled you in, that made you feel as though this was something that you had to be a part of?
What they was talking about, because we hear a lot about genociding and the Holocaust over the years, like in class. But when you go to high school, you only learn parts of it. You don't learn the whole thing. So when I joined the club, I learned more and more about stuff that was happening around the world.
Tony?
Let's see. I got involved in the project because I took a Literature of the Holocaust class, and it was an elective, and then I could either write a paper or attend the project and get out of the paper, and I don't like to write papers, so club was the way to go. But when I went to that first meeting, I could see like the enthusiasm and the passion and the actual like caring that everybody had, the students that were in the project at the time, as well as the advisors, and it kind of just drew me in, and then it makes the world a lot smaller. You kind of get to just really hear about things that are going on. You get to meet people that have lived through these experiences, and you can just learn so much from them, and then take that knowledge that you have learned and spread it to other people you come in contact with.
Alyssa, what about you?
I'm one of those, I was a mom when I came to school, and I didn't really have time to do the extra stuff. So I took a class like Tony, and my professor, Bill Drumright, gave us that offer of either you can write a paper or join this organization. So I decided to join, and it was tough to try and fit it into my schedule as a mom and a student, but it completely changed my whole life as my career. It gave me direction of where I wanted to go.
And Jody, I want to hear from you, and you're unique because of also your role now as well.
Right. So I took the course, The Psychology of the Holocaust, the Human Capacity for Good, Evil, and Indifference. And if that name doesn't even, scare you, I don't know what would, but it was in the 90s, so it was a very long time ago. And at the time, there weren't very many Holocaust survivors that were speaking out. And we were learning this somewhat very new to the world of really the history of it. And so my classmates and I wanted to do something more at our college to recognize and remember the Holocaust. And so that's when we had our first Yom HaShoah commemoration, was in 1991.
And you are a founding member of this group, and you currently serve as?
I am the director of the Holocaust Genocide and Human Rights Project.
Tony, you mentioned that there was so much to learn. You enjoyed the process of learning, but not only that, of passing it on and sharing it to others as well, what you learned. So I guess at its core, is that the mission of this project, or are there other aspects of what you are working to do in terms of the role that you're playing and the impact that you hope to have on our community and our society?
For me, I think learning just how many people in the world need help in some way. And also sharing stories of people who haven't been helped. And that drove me to work in nonprofit, knowing that there are people out there that need help and support in some way. There's so many different avenues to that. But for me, that's what the organization provided me.
I think that at least for me, the impact of helping others to see their leadership potential. I mean, I decided to stay in higher education, and I went on to Buffalo State and received my master's degree, but I really wanted to stay involved in the project and help it to evolve because of the importance and the value of it. So I think that, like Tony said, it makes the world a little smaller. When we think about the Holocaust, it is so big. I mean, to think that over 6 million people were murdered, when we think about that, it's so overwhelming, but who would we have been at that time? What would we have done? is, I feel, important to help people to see the Holocaust on a smaller level and what we can do to make a difference in our own community first, which then in fact will apply to the world.
Talk about some of the projects that are taking place within this program, some of the things that you're doing, the activities, the events, the conversations you're having. I'd love to get an idea of what's going on so that those conversations that you mentioned, Jody, can take place, and they have taken place because of what you're doing. Raymond?
Oh, so recently, beginning of the semester when I first joined, we did Water for South Sudan, and we basically we were selling like wells. I can't really describe.
Well, what we were doing, we were raising money to build wells. So we had this walk fundraiser where we walked around the college, and we had a bunch of middle schoolers come who had read Selva's book. Well, it is Selva's book.
Long Walk to Water.
Yeah, A Long Walk to Water. And they knew his story, and they came, and they wanted to help, and they wanted to fundraise. And so we raised, I think it was $2,000 or so to build wells, or actually what we did with that money is we refurbished, I don't know how to phrase it.
We're refurbishing wells
We
that we've
refurbished
built
words that we
already.
built before.
It was fun to do that. I think the funnest part was me was like, we had different stations. So first I did the tour, then we played with the kids, and we all just it was a fun experience.
I'm sure they had a lot of questions for you too. It's great to be able to do something like that with the younger generation, right? Just in terms of making sure that they're aware of the world around them, the meaning behind this group in general, but also the ways in which they can help.
They actually got to meet him.
They got to meet Selva.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great. So what are some other things?
I think, like they were saying with the Walk for Water that we do for Water for South Sudan and Selva, and then the Yom HaShoah commemoration is a big one. It's really, you take the noisiest place on campus, and it's silent except for reading of names of victims and survivors of the Holocaust with our photographic essay exhibit of local survivors. And then that day you also get to hear survivors speak. And it's a powerful day that I think kind of like will reverberate around the campus. You know, when people are like, well, what's this about, when you walk through the atrium to the cafeteria and just hear these names being read and kind of stop to think and pause and kind of reflect on things. And then to piggyback on what they said about the students being excited, I was able to be part of like one of the first conversations we had here with Linda Sue Park, the author of A Long Walk for Water, and Selva, and just having all these middle school kids here in the theater full and watching them like ask question after question and get excited about meeting Selva and want to shake his hand, take pictures with him. I think that was really cool, and it's a great way to introduce like the middle schoolers and the youth to the world, make a smaller form, and also like some things that Selva went through on his journey here and what he's doing now, and that's kind of inspirational for them.
Yeah, one of my favorite conversations that we had in one of our club meetings though is so we showed the movie Hotel Rwanda, and after we talked about it a bit, like in the next meeting, and one of the girls, she was like, so I just like realized that horrible things can happen, and it's when good people do nothing. It's when these people stand by and do nothing. And just like to watch somebody like understand that so that they will know not to do that themselves ever if they see something bad happen, that was like amazing. And I was just really, really just, it was so powerful and it touched me so much.
I think that's that's the valuable part of being part of the project, but also our way of continuing to learn of who we are and how we can change the world, to feel like you can change the world by studying the Holocaust when many looked away. But how can we then empower ourselves and empower others to protect human rights at the smallest level, so that it doesn't get to, so it doesn't lead to genocide, because there are steps that lead to genocide, and one of those steps is indifference.
Are there ways that all of you, just your involvement in this project at varied stages and years, changed your perspective, challenged you, maybe changed the way you thought about one part of our world, just really shook you, or any of the above? If there is something that you can share about that, how you were changed through this.
it teaches you to be more grateful for what you have, versus what someone doesn't have. Like people watch their families get murdered, watch their friends go away. We have our friends every day, but they don't have that. So it teaches you to be more grateful for what you have than what they don't.
Yeah. There's so many moments, oh my gosh. Like, that's totally true. Just being grateful for what you have and realizing that, like, on some level you can help people who don't have so much, like fundraising for Water for South Sudan. We're helping people meet the basic need of having water, and it's changing their lives. And that's incredible in and of itself.
Alyssa, what about you?
Yeah, I think realizing we're in a comfortable place here in Rochester. I think it's easy to put things aside and pretend that bad things aren't happening in other parts of the world. So coming to terms with what really is happening, and genocides are still happening. It's not just the Holocaust, it's things that have happened and continue to happen today. And besides that, my involvement with the organization and participating in the second Walk for Water, I believe, completely changed my whole perspective on what it was I wanted to do for myself and for others. So I had no direction before that point, and then after joining the organization, I found some direction. So,
For me, I think I've been fortunate enough since I've been in the project to travel overseas and do some volunteer work in Central America a few times. So being able to kind of like see some of the things that we talked about in the project a little bit on a limited basis and being a part of that in their society and coming back here and doing some volunteer work here and seeing some of the struggles that we face here at home, it just brought everything we talked about in the project together as far as like genocides and human rights in other parts of the world as well as here in Rochester. And just made me realize with what I've learned there and with those experiences that the language of love and compassion transcends everything else. If you just show a little love and compassion, like the world can be a lot better place.
Well, this project, this organization, the course has changed my life drastically. After I took the course was the first time I ever voted in an election, because I believed that it didn't matter. My vote didn't matter. And once I took this course, it changed my level of consciousness of the world that was around me. When actually, we walk every day out of our homes, we learn what we live, but we don't learn enough about what's going on around us. And I think that course and my involvement helped me to realize that my vote does count and that other people's votes count too. So how can I help the world to think that way too, on an individual level, but then also collectively?
Are there ways, you mentioned before some of the middle school students with Water for South Sudan, how they were directly impacted by that experience of raising funds with you. Have you heard feedback from others, maybe in the community, your peers, former peers at MCC, just in terms of reaction or direct impact from an event that you had, a speaker you had, that made someone say, my gosh, I never thought about this in this way before, and now it's kind of like that veil has been removed and they can see something for what it really is?
Well, there was on our last event, so last Wednesday, we had who was it? Paul Rusesabagina come, and there was this one girl at the end of the thing. I didn't even know what she was crying about, but there was this one girl who was with this group of students, and she was just sobbing and just crying. His speech, what he said, his message, it really touched her. And I didn't get to speak to her. I don't know what she was going through her mind, but just to see that it impacted her so incredibly was amazing, and it really did hit her. It was, oh wow.
So we have many MCC alumni that I'm in contact with, and they have gone on to do different things in their lives because of the project and because of what they learned by taking the course and being involved in Yom HaShoahs or Kristallnachts. And a couple of them are teachers. A couple of them are doing, they're working for the UN in Egypt. They're working at the Ohio University as the Hillel director. They are finishing their last semester at Fordham University in human rights law. So there are many people that have reached out to us in currently and in the past that I'm hoping to bring together for our 30th year, which is coming up. And I hear it often how their involvement has helped them to feel like they can make a difference, to the confidence that they have in themselves and the confidence that they have in others, knowing that if they have this passion and they move it forward within their careers, they changed careers.
We had an opportunity to interview Paul Wednesday before he spoke before the audience here at MCC, and something that struck me in his book, An Ordinary Man, and just in the conversation with him, was how he talked about, are we learning from our past? Are we questioning, you kind of question, are we learning from the ills of yesterday so that we can make that difference moving forward? And I'm curious just what your message would be to people who are watching this right now who think, because I think so often people think, what can I do? Like, what can, little old me do to make a difference? What would you tell people who are tuning in so that they know, yes, you might be one person, but you have the ability to do something?
If I'm not mistaken, a professor from Buffalo came, right?
Yes.
He came from Buffalo, I think Buffalo State.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said he did like a presentation for people who wanted genocide art they had up, and he was like, don't be a bystander.
So your piece of advice is that don't be a bystander.
Yeah, stand up and say something.
My thing would probably be show love and compassion to everybody. Like, don't alienate people who might disagree with you, and just always be kind to them, because a lot of the bad things that happen come from dehumanizing people and alienating them, and we don't realize that we're doing it sometimes, but that is something so powerful in the end game, and it's one of the things that leads to atrocities. So always be loving and compassionate, and to everyone that you meet, no matter what.
I would piggyback off of that and just say, don't be so quick to judge people. Take the time and get to know them. Whenever you meet someone, the first question is, what's your name? The second question is, what you do? So just kind of, instead of just stopping with the, kind of get involved a little bit more, because you never know where they've come from, what their life was like, what they've experienced, what you can learn from them, and what you can teach each other. And just just slow down and get to know each other, and you find out that they have a lot more in common than you really thought you did.
My advice is that you can do something, and you make a difference. I worked for Water for South Sudan, and just to see, as of today, I think we've drilled 364 wells and serving over 300,000 people in South Sudan, and a lot of those wells are drilled by or funded by children. And just to see the impact that teachers have on their kids, teaching them the book and allowing them to become global citizens and teaching them to be leaders. And they're making a difference, and we're making a difference. So it's possible.
And for people who take college courses that might think, a course can't change someone's life, you're an example of how a course directly does change your life, because you jumped right in and now you work for the organization.
Yep. I am so blessed to be where I am today. I didn't know I would have the opportunity to circle back to where I started, but here I am, and I don't even know if that was the master plan all along or what, if someone was guiding me along the way, but I am here, and I am very, very proud to be a part of the organization.
So my advice would be to take responsibility for the world that you live in. And we've had an opportunity to listen to Holocaust survivors. Someday we will not have that opportunity anymore. And it is our responsibility to take those lessons of the Holocaust and apply them to every day that we live. And so I say take responsibility, but know that you have the responsibility and you have that potential within you to change the world that you live in.
To learn more about MCC's Holocaust, Genocide, and Human Rights Project, go to monroecc.edu. Imagine a day job where you get to create pieces of art and apply them directly onto the skin of eager buyers. Well, that's what life has been like for more than 2 decades for tattoo artist TJ Dill. The Rochester native describes her work as a way of helping people feel more comfortable in their own skin through her medical and decorative tattooing. She recently told WXXI's Arts in Focus that while she started in the business in '91, her work wasn't always respected. Well, things have changed. Take a look.
The tattoo literally becomes part of you. It's there with you, it ages with you, it goes on vacation with you. Your kids remember it. I did a lot of really random stuff. I did spot and editorial illustration for magazines, some periodical work, and eventually I found myself subcontracting for ad agencies locally. It was a really frustrating process because I never got to deal with the end client. The other thing in doing magazine periodical work is that it has a cover date. You do a piece of art, you can put your heart and soul into it. A month later, it's last month's magazine. So when I got exposed to tattooing, that really solved both of those problems that I had with the illustration work. For better or worse, no matter what, I am always dealing with the end client. My art director is the client that is wearing the tattoo. So they get to dictate what that's going to look like, where it's going to go, how big it is, what their budget is. I'm negotiating with them directly. And it's definitely not transitory art form. It's permanently a part of who you are and how you present to yourself or to the world. And that's an incredible honor. When I started tattooing, it was still associated with Bowery districts. You know, it was very common to have people say things like only sailors and whores get tattoos. And MTV happened. And all of a sudden, heavily tattooed people were in other people's living rooms. It was unheard of for somebody to go into this believing that they were going to make a full-time career out of it, which I didn't realize, and fortunately I was able to. I was a member of the Irondequoit Art Club, and I was a good 30 to 40 years younger than anyone else. And they were super talented, amazing artists, and I would see all of their work. But I would also periodically hear things like, I wish I hadn't have gotten a 9-to-5 job. I always wonder what it would have been like if I would have stuck with art right out of school. And I looked around at what they were going through and I was like, I don't want to deal with that then. Like, I'm going to do this so that if I fall on my face when I'm 60, I can say, I really wanted to do that and I tried really hard, but I wasn't good enough. I would know that. I would have the answers. I wouldn't grow old with all these what-if questions. And so I did, and that was where I got into the illustration work and eventually transferred over to tattooing, was that I just wanted to be able to make things for a living.
You can learn more about Dill's latest work on her blog, justtj.blog. And for more from Arts in Focus, be sure to like their Facebook page. And that wraps up another edition of Need to Know, Rochester's news magazine. I'm your host, Helene Bianduti-Hofer. Thank you for joining me tonight and throughout the weekend on WXXI TV. And don't forget, you can catch all of our shows online at WXXInews.org. Have a great night.